Hi there, good evening. You're welcome to Watchers TV and we're live on YouTube. It's another wonderful Thursday. And guess what we're having tonight? Relationship Thursday with ApostleMintah. I'm sure you enjoyed yourself last week. We're going to have an awesome time this evening. If you're just joining us, please do subscribe to this YouTube channel. It's very, very important. And if you know how to use the YouTube, the stuff there, the links, sharing the links, liking, commenting, we need to interact with you. So please stay on board and let's have a great time together. Daddy, please, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Please take over.
Okay. We thank God for today. And today is Thursday. And today we are looking at communicating love. How we can communicate love is very important, in our relationships, to know how we can communicate love. You're welcome, man of God. And so
thank you, Daddy.
We know that we human beings are relational, and that's how God created us. God made us relational, and one of the ways that we relate with one another is, in fact, the basic way is communication. And communication has several forms. It takes several forms. It has several types and kinds and all that, and bringing it all together, we must be able to know how to express our love. Almost every kind of species that God created has a way of expressing love. There's a communication that animals also have when they want to express love. You can see that they are expressing love to their kind. And as humans, we also have ways that we express love, and we also have ways that we express how we feel. Okay, and it's very important. Now, I'm going to look at it from certain perspectives. For instance, when we talk about communicating love, we can look at it from the cultural perspective. The cultural perspective, we can look at it from the generational perspective. We can look at it from the biblical perspective, and then the personal one, the perspective of your personality. From that perspective, we can look at how to communicate love. The reason for that is this: culturally, we have several cultures, and one thing about culture is that culture is a way of life of a particular group of people, and several cultures have indices, and they also have models that they follow, things that people do, and then it is classified as communicating love or showing or expressing their love. And we can't just take something from one culture and make it our own, and we also have to also understand that where we are in the world, we are in a global world, global village, and so cultures will clash, and then cultures will give into cultures and all that. So, for instance, if you take something like beauty, you can see that from culture to culture, aesthetic standards differ from culture to culture. When you look at typical African culture, there's a way they define beauty. Typical European culture is a way they define beauty. So that's like, I'm just trying to compare to that. Now when it comes to expressing love, it's the same thing. For one culture, maybe buying flowers may be a sign, maybe an expression of love. For another culture, that may not necessarily be an expression of love. And it's neither wrong nor right. I mean, no culture is good or bad. It depends on whether you are aligned with basic biblical principles, and principles of good morals and good human behavior. Okay, so the flower I give as an example, you can You can just decide to give a flower to somebody, and depending on where the person is coming from, it may not mean anything. Whereas maybe in the person's culture, just maybe saying words will mean something. By another person's culture, words may not mean anything. Maybe service, maybe what is deemed as an expression of love, and it differs from culture to culture. Then we talk about the generational perspective where we can look at two generations. For instance, you can look at the older generation and the younger generation. New trends have come, new things have evolved, and new ways of doing things. What used to be an expression of love, maybe in the previous generation, may not necessarily pass for an expression of love in the current generation. Maybe in the current generation, because of their socialization and the way and their orientation, there's a way they see love. Love is universal and love is transgenerational. Love is universal. Love is a language that everybody understands. Okay, but the issue is communicating it, expressing it. You may express it in a language that somebody may not necessarily see. I once watched a short clip where somebody gave the girlfriend flowers, and was I think it was on Valentine, and the girl was upset. What am I going to do with the flowers? What do you want me to do with the flowers? What does it mean? And in fact, the girl said that you are giving me forest. Are you giving me a forest? Something like that. So clearly you see that that was not her thing. So the person should have been able to figure out what will make her tick. What will make her happy, or what she thinks is love. Then we can talk about the biblical perspective, what the Bible calls love. In fact, if we are Christians and we are talking about love from a Christian perspective, then that we have to look at the Bible's position on love, how the Bible defines love. The Bible says that God is love, and the Bible gives us certain things that show that we will love somebody. For instance, Jesus Christ said that you should love one another as I've loved you. And when you look through the Bible, you see practical ways that we communicate that love. Like 2 Corinthians 1:5 says we should comfort one another. That's a way we communicate love. Comfort. Comfort is to help ease pain, help ease the pain of another person, by your words, by your presence. That is comfort. That is a way of communicating love. I remember in Job, when Job was in deep distress, his friends came there, and Bible said they sat down without talking for 7 days, 7 full days. They were just sitting by Job, and they didn't say anything. And then somebody will say that, well, that is not a way to communicate love. But I believe that Job really appreciated it, because they didn't want to try to assume that they knew what was going on, what was happening to Job. So they kept silent, and they were just grieving with him, just sympathizing, trying to empathize, for 7 days. Can you imagine? They were not talking. Okay, so the Bible talks about comfort one another. Then there are several ways, accept one another is one of them, honor one another, give preference to one another. You see that the Bible really, really sets out, you know, and tries to, the Bible tries to let us know what love is and how we can communicate the love of God to people, and then it talks about even pray for one another, forgive one another, serve one another. These are all ways that we express love. So you see that the biblical perspective more like encompasses all the other perspectives, and then you can also find all these things I've talked about. You can find them in Scripture. The Bible is not also silent on that. So that these are the perspectives that we can look at it from. Then the personal perspective is, there are some people, the way they saw love being communicated. That is how they understand love, and that's how they communicate love. The way they saw love being communicated. Sometimes you communicate love based on how some of your deepest needs were met. Certain things that made a very let's say great impact or impression on your life are things that you deem as important, and as you see them as ways of expressing the love that you have for somebody. For instance, if let's say you have been hungry, I mean, you have endured hunger, and somebody has maybe giving you food. The feeling of hunger and the feeling of being fed. And so for you, that constitutes a major part of the expression of love. That is what uh, happenings, circumstances that can do, in a person's life, to shape the way you communicate love, the way you even receive love. There are people who can't even receive love, because of the things that they've been through in life. They find it very difficult to open up to receive love. When you express love to them, they doubt. They have trust issues. They have doubts. They have issues of image problem. They look down on themselves. They think they are not worthy of love. So when you express love, they see it differently, and they interpret it. Matter of fact, they misinterpret it, and it can create problem. So these are four perspectives. But I'm going to combine all these four perspectives. Then we'll look at practical ways that we can communicate love. Now, when I read a book some time ago, around 2003, 4, and the book was The Five Love Languages. I've forgotten the author, but the author was trying to, what the author was teaching was that everybody has a peculiar love language, and that if you get to know the person's love language, that is how you fulfill the person's need for love. So I think he gave five. I can't recall all, but I remember touch, and I remember words, and I think acts of kindness. So these are what the author was trying to say was that these are ways of expressing love, communicating love, now taking into consideration the peculiar love language of the person. Now, I believe that he was right. I believe he was right, and I also believe that when we resign ourselves to one particular way of receiving love, we may misconstrue people's actions. So we also have to know, then you must also understand the person's way of communicating love. If let's say somebody, you resign yourself to one love language, and you say that, oh, for me, my love language is, let's say, acts of kindness. Okay, what about the person trying to communicate the love? You don't know his or her love language. Maybe his or love language is not acts of kindness, it's just words. So then you misconstrue his actions. You think that the person has not communicated enough love, and the person too will misunderstand you, because as far as he is concerned, he has been expressing his love. So it can create some uneasiness. Just adjusting to each other can create problems. So what I think is that let's look at certain things that the Bible says, and then we look at all these things also, all these languages that I just said, and how they express love, and what we should understand, and the Bible's perspective. I believe that because we are believers, we are Christians, the Bible's perspective is what should rule all the other perspectives. So regardless of the generation you belong, the culture, and then your personality, you will find out certain things the Bible has said with that we should communicate love. So let's look at some of them. Let's look at things that can show that you can use to express your love. Now, the first one is your mouth, verbal expression of love. Now, verbal expression of love, we all know how when we tell people that we love them, the impact it makes on them. Now, that one is the least form of expression of love, is the least. And that one is also, when I say the least, what I'm trying to say is that is the most unreliable, is the most unreliable. It has not in any way show love, even though you say, because the tendency for the mouth to be saying something and for the heart to be saying something else. The mouth and the heart, they can be in disagreement. As Jesus Christ said in Mark 7, verse 6, these people truly honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far away from me. Okay, so you can communicate love with your words, with your words. Now, surprisingly, many people see this aspect of expression of love as the most important, especially when it comes to men and women. We know that women are moved by what they hear. Women love to hear expression of love to hear things, good things. They are more inclined towards what they hear and what creates memories in their minds. Men are not inclined more towards what they hear. Okay, but women. So when I say verbal expression, you will see that it is women who will see it. They will see it as an expression of love. They will see it better, as an expression, as a form of expression of love than men. So the problem has always been this, that most women don't seem to get those words from their partners, and they have a feeling that, do they really love me, or do they really think about me, or what, especially with people with the current generation. We have made so much hype, we have just hyped this aspect of expression of love so much so that people have been socialized to think that unless you can communicate with your mouth, you can talk and express your love, you are not romantic, you are not a loving person, you cannot be a good partner, you cannot be a good husband, or but that is wrong, because like I said, that is the least form of expression. You can just say I love you. It's just three words, I love you. But the implication of those three words, it goes further than just I love you. As much as it is important, I mean, it's important, it spices up the relationship when the your partner, especially the lady, is you're able to communicate verbally to her your love. After all, before the relationship started, you told her you loved her. You told her your mind. You told her that you loved her. You wanted to uh, start a relationship that would lead to marriage. You will marry her. You told her all those things. So keep on saying it is very important. But I'm saying I just want to balance it so that it will not be like the most important. I said is the least form of expression, because and that is the easiest. That's the easiest form of expression of love. Very easy. You can just say it, just without any feelings, without any emotions, nothing. Just say it, and it can work a lot of magic. It can work a lot of magic. Just those three words, But then we need to also look beyond that. Look beyond that, because your mouth can be saying something that your heart does not agree with. So when your mouth is saying something that is your heart, something sweet that your heart doesn't agree with, it is flattery. You are just flattering the person, and flattery is insincere praise. But it must come from our hearts sincerely, and often let the person know how much you appreciate the person. It's not just the words "I love you," but letting the person know that he or she is special. Let the person know how much you are appreciative of the things that maybe he or she does for you. Let the person know how much you are privileged or happy to have him or her in your life. These are all forms of verbal expression of love. It's not just I love you, but admiration can come with the mouth, through the mouth. Affirmation is also through the mouth. Even letting the person feel significant. They all come through words, through words. So the choice of words and what you say to express what you genuinely feel, not just contriving something, but what you genuinely feel. You genuinely feel that you are happy to have this person. You are happy the person is in your life. Let the person know that you are happy that he or she is in your life. That's a verbal expression of love. I'm saying that is the least, because that one is the most unreliable. There's no way of finding out. There's no way of finding out whether you really mean it or not. But it's also the easiest, and it's also the one that is very fast. It produces result. Now we can see that the Bible says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So when it comes out of your heart, when it's spontaneous, when it is not provoked, it comes naturally out of your heart. Then we can at least we can use that one to know what you were thinking about the person. Now there are other ways that we can express love. Like I said, acts of kindness. Acts of kindness to will let the person know is a form of showing your love for the person. How you are willing to show kindness to the person. There are some people who are tight-fisted. When you are tight-fisted, you cannot be tight-fisted with somebody you truly love, that you have cleansed your fist, and you don't release. So releasing is a form of love. Giving is a form of love. The Bible says, "For God so loved the world that He gave." He gave. Now, when I say give is a form of love, I'm not saying go and borrow to give, just to show that you love a person. Now, that one is not balanced. What I'm saying is that, when you are not selfish, and you are not mean, you are willing to share. If you love somebody, you'll be willing to share with a person. You will not only think about yourself, you'll be willing to share. Open your hands. Let a person know, what is in your hand, you give to the person. There's a saying in Akan, they all don't same no demand. Is what love has that he gives. So what you give is an indication and expression of your love. It doesn't have to be expensive. It's just the heart that matters. The heart. Sometimes that you can just give simple gifts that will let the person know that, oh, I was thinking about you. Simple gifts. Not it doesn't have to be an expensive gift. Something that will let the person know that I thought about you. When I was coming, I saw this and I thought about you. For instance, as a married person, let's say you go out, then you see something that maybe your spouse, you know that your spouse needs or have been talking about. You will just buy it and then bring it to him or her and say, "Oh, I saw this," and then you will see that it will minister to the person in a very profound way, even though it may be something little, but just to save the person the inconvenience of having to go and get it and all that. That little extra effort is going to minister in a very profound way to the person. Maybe something the person has intended to buy, but maybe you got it at a cheaper price somewhere. Even though it's a cheaper price, but maybe you were able to get it for the person, and you save the person extra money. These are all acts of kindness, acts of kindness. Special gifts on special occasions, birthdays and all that. You see, there's a way you can meet somebody's need without necessarily being too expensive. That it shouldn't be said that you are going to empty your account just to be buying gifts, but it's just something nice, something that will act as, something that will act that will act as a reminder. Anytime the person sees it, it's like the person knows that, oh, it was given to me by somebody special. So in relationship, like in courtship, for instance, we should form the habit of exchanging gifts. Exchanging gifts. It could just be a pen. I mean, it could be a pen. It could just be, something that we eat. It could be, I mean, something that is France. I mean, just anything, you know, anything. You know what the person likes. Okay, there are some people. If you study them, you will see that maybe they are fond of books. You can get a book that talks about a subject of special interest. Buy it for the person. Okay, there are some people, just a little thing, maybe you ordered something for the person, just something, some food, I mean something just to make, just to something just for a change. You say that the person will appreciate it. So don't resign yourself to one love language and say that, "Oh, for me, unless I see this, it's not love." No, we must know the various ways that love can be communicated. Now, the third thing is sacrifice. Sacrifice is also one way that you can see genuine love. Sacrifice, the price a person pays to get something for you, that is also love. See, so don't say the person did not say I love you, so the person is not romantic. No, no, the person, if the person is able to go length, to go any length to make sure that you get what you need, the person is sacrificing for you. See, the reason why sometimes there are clashes, is this. Generally speaking, if you take 100 women, about 90% of women will interpret love uh, differently from 90% of men, as we all know. For instance, because women, the way God created women are more inclined towards bonding and relationships. So they treasure things like time, things like words, and all that. Okay. Now, men were also wired differently. So a man has been wired to provide solutions. So a man sees love as provision of solution. So the man is thinking that because I love you, I have to take care of your shelter. Maybe I want to take care of your transportation. Or maybe I want to take care of this, take care of that, take care of that. And so there's a tendency for the man to be doing things, providing things, all out of love. But the typical man sees those things as love. But the typical woman sees those things that not as love. So typical woman will want a man who is good company, who gives good company, who can converse with him, who can share her interest, who can spend time with her, or a man who is fun to be with and all that. Somebody who can always express love. Now there are some men, all they will do is that they will be expressing love, they sharing the nice words on you and all that, but you will not see sacrifice in their life. You will see that they are selfish. You will see that they know how to appear as loving and romantic with their words. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Don't just focus on one aspect and say, "Oh, this is my love language." So for me, unless I see this, then it's not love. No, you must know that all these things are also expressions of love. I mean, sacrifice is a great expression of love. Forgoing something for your sake, you know, spending the time, paying the price, for your sake is love. It's not don't underestimate sacrifice and say that it's not love. And don't say that somebody is not romantic simply because the person maybe wasn't able to express himself verbally, that a person cannot express. Because I've had young ladies tell me, okay, now this person is not romantic. I don't want to marry this person. Why? Because the person cannot express himself. He cannot tell me he loves me. He cannot, those things are good. But I'm saying that is the least form of expression. Anybody can do it. It does not mean the person is is going to help you, or the person has your best interest at heart. The person can just be showering love. In fact, there are some men who have trained themselves to do that. They come around you and they can use words on you. Before you realize, you would have given them your heart. You have opened up your heart to them because of the words they keep sharing on you, and they keep pumping you up with sweet words because they know you love to hear sweet words. But that is not balanced, because that is not all there is to expressing love. So don't just be limited, in your expression of love and in your as a reception of love. Don't be limited to. Then uh, acts of service. Service too can be an expression of love. When you're able to serve somebody, it means you love the person. Yeah, I mean that is that is also an expression of love. When you're able to serve somebody, it means you love the person. Little thing we do as service to people. You can give examples. When, let's say, you run errands for somebody, let's say you run errands for your partner. If it's a lady, you run errands for her. It's a way of love. I mean, you have shown love. The person has shown love. The person ran errands for you. Maybe you help do something to ease the pressure on somebody. Maybe you need help in your projects, or you need help in your academic life or something. The person is there for you. The person can help you out. You know, the person can connect you, can ease your burden in practical ways. All those things are forms of love. I mean, when you're looking at a long-term relationship like marriage, you have to weigh these forms of expression of love and know the ones that are important. You are looking at a long-term relationship of marriage. You can't just you can't just judge based on the verbal expression of love. No, I mean that is not enough. That's not the one that you should build the foundation on. But the one who is there for you, if somebody can sacrifice for you, can forgo certain things for you, if somebody can serve you, you know that you are the person that's communicating love with the heart, not just with the mouth, with actions, that I'll be there for you. For instance, let's say you are sick, and you have two people that they both are your friends, and then you are sick. Then one calls you, and he calls you like 5 times in a day, checking up on you. Oh, you'll be fine. Everything will be okay. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Okay. The other person called you, and then the person just sympathize with you or empathize with you. Oh, sorry for what has happened. But the person never called. But the person rather called people who could help you, called some of his friends who may be doctors or nurses, and then called them to help you. The person maybe took care of your medical bills, bought the drugs for you and all that. Now, between these two, okay, the one who was calling you 5 times, always talking to you, always trying to engage you, make you happy, make you laugh, some ladies will prefer that one to the one who went ahead to meet the practical needs, taking care of bills, lifting up the burden, making sure he gets timely and practical and needed help. But you will see that both are expressions of love. But in terms of rating, the one who went ahead to do practical things, his should be rated higher and above the one who was just calling. Okay, it may sound strange, but that's the truth. Because for a long-term relationship, it's not about words. It's not about smooth talking. Everybody can do that. It's about when the rubber meets the road, it's about the real issues. Will the person be there for you? Can the person sacrifice? Will the person think of you? See, these are the things that we use to judge love. For a man will just see love, you know. Okay, I'll come to that. Okay. Then we have physical touch. Physical touch also, which are expressions of love. Now, here in physical touch, I'll qualify it and say appropriate physical touch. Okay. In a courtship or in a relationship leading to marriage, like I've always said, from the beginning, there should be no sex. There should be no touching. When I say touching, caressing or fondling or kissing, or what I I call generally sexual intercourse. There should be no sexual intercourse and sexual intercourse. Intercourse is when there's no sex, actual sex, but then there is sex, intercourse, or all the other things that come in. Now, so in a relationship, appropriate physical touch. So hugging is okay, hugging is okay. I mean, in a relationship, even that one, even hugging, if you see that hugging is arousing your sexual desire, then you better not start. Then you need to discuss with your partner that hugging, doesn't help me. And then remove hugging from your list of love expression. Because because if you don't hug, it does not mean you don't love the person. Okay. If you don't hug the person will not die. If you don't hug the person, nothing bad will happen to the person. So hugging is not a must. Some people think that if you don't hug me, you don't love me. And some people have also, so they have the wrong mentality that for me, my love language is touch. So I need a guy to be touching me. No, you are wrong. You are wrong. See, everybody in this world, every human being, men, women, we all need touch. That's why when a baby is born, the baby is touched. You receive you receive a lot of touches as a baby. You are cuddled, you are held. Everybody will be touching you, lifting you, and all that, because God has designed man to need the touch of fellow human beings. So you always need that. Okay, so it's something that is in everybody, but that's not the only way we express love. Because if you are not married and then there's too much physical contact, it can lead to sex. Remember, male and female, there's already an attraction between male and female, and that attraction was put there by God, and it's natural. It's natural. But beyond that attraction, when that attraction degenerates into physical touch or close physical contact, it's going to create a problem, because the more physical you get, the more physical you will want to get. The more physical you get, the more physical you want to get. So you will see sometimes people will progress from, let's say, hugging, maybe prolonged and deep hugging, where you spend like you spend more than you spend more time than necessary in each other's embrace. That one is not appropriate touch. That one can spark, it can spark a lot of things in the two of you, because from there, if you don't take care, then you see that you are going to go to the next step where you may be pecking, you may be kissing, you may be petting. Then if you don't stop, you will see that your hands will start moving. It's natural. It's a reflex. So if you are not married, the appropriate physical touch, you should observe. And if you are married, apart from your spouse, you should be extremely careful how your hands move around, how maybe you have physical contact with people. When you are with your spouse, there's no boundary. It's a free zone. There's no boundary, you know. Now, so in the unmarried, like with the unmarried, a touch can be an expression of love, but appropriate physical touch, and you should not be too physical. Okay, but when you are married, one of the ways that you communicate love is through touch. Is through touch when you are married. That one is very important, very, very important. In fact, even in a marriage, your sex life, your sex life is an indication of how you are suited, how you are well adjusted to each other. Your sex life, you know, sex, the way God created sex, sex is also an expression of love in a marriage. See, sex says that I've given you my heart already. Now I give you my body as an expression of love. That is sex. Okay. Now, if there's no love between the two of you, if the heart love is not there, you can still have sex in a marriage. You can still have it. So sex does not equate love, but in a marriage, it can be an expression, more like the icing on the cake. That's how God designed sex to be. But many people think that when you have sex, then you have love. Yeah, you love a person by having sex with a person. It's not true. Prostitutes have sex not out of love, but they have sex because of money. So the motive is money, not love. But in a marriage, sex can be an expression of love because God is, you see, the Bible says in Hebrews 13:4, it said, marriage is honorable and the bed undefiled. Now, the word bed in the Greek is the word coit, coit, from which we got the word coitus, which is sex. So, sex in a marriage is protected and God endorses it. God, God wants the married people to be in love with each other's body, not just your heart or your personality, your body. He wants you to admire and love and like the body of your spouse and express your love through that. So in the Bible, for instance, you see that in a book like Song of Solomon, the Bible talks about kissing, talks about caressing, talks about all that. And the context was always in marriage. That whole book of Song of Solomon was written from the perspective of marriage. You will see my sister, my bride, my sister, my bride. It was a love affair between Solomon and one of his wives, who was a black woman, a Shulamite. So, my sister, my bride. Okay. Now, in Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 6, you will see the Bible talks about even uh, this one. He was talking about. Look at just let me just read it. Chapter 2, verse 6. He said, "His left hand is under my head, and his right hand embraces me." Now, the word embrace, let me look it up, in other versions. Okay, other versions. It says, his left hand is under my head, and his right hand is round about me. Okay, that one was even talking about, you see, left hand under my head, right hand. Okay, now it's the same way in marriage. You see that the groom, the bride is always to the left half of the groom. Okay, and the right hand is free protect protect her in case somebody is coming, free to ward off all attacks. Now, in the married bed, the left hand is under the head, the right hand is also free to move, do anything, that married people can do. The right hand, okay, it's not bad. When you are married, there's no boundary. You need to be able to touch your spouse as often as possible, often as possible. Hardly will my wife pass by me, when we are alone, that I will not touch her or hit her or tickle her or something, But then, if you are not my wife, you see that my hand is always by my side. My hand will not trespass to come and touch you, But for my wife, my hand can move freely, just go anywhere. That is how it is. Okay. And that's all, they are all part of ways of expressing love if you are married. Now, in Genesis 26, verse 8, you see that uh, Isaac told Abimelech that Rebecca was his sister. But the man saw from the window, and look at what the Bible says. Genesis 26, verse 8. Okay. Okay. Now, let me read it in, let me read it in the New King James and see what it says. Okay. And it came to pass, when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked out a window and saw, and behold, Isaac was caressing Rebekah, his wife. I hope you understand the word caress. That is the same word as fondling, okay, or let's say romancing, if you like. Now you see that it was his wife in that context. That has no place in a Christian courtship. It has no place in a Christian courtship. In a Christian courtship, it's like you are with your sister or your brother. There's no room for this kind of touch. So you don't have to say that my love language is touch. That one is for married people. Even if you are somebody who yearns for touch, there are people like that. There are some people, when they are talking to you, they want to be touching you. There are some women like that and some men like that. Now you can control your hand. Make sure you control your hand. Don't be doing that. Okay, because you can put people into trouble. Because some people, you see, if you touch a person, for instance, if you are not, if somebody is not your wife, and then you touch a lady, any part of a woman that you touch can be sensitive. Any part. I will not exempt, but then yeah, there are certain, for instance, if let's say your hand is around a lady's waist, you are not married, to the lady, and your hand is around her waist. Now that place, that can result into temptation. Yes. You may say that, oh well, I don't have any evil intention. Okay, what about the other person? Are you not arousing certain feelings in the person? Some people may not be honest and tell you, but as you touch them like that, they feel certain things, going through their bodies, and they may be enjoying it, so they may not tell you that, oh, you are putting me into trouble. But if you are honest with your partner, you need to let him know, okay, now hugging is harmless, but even if that one, if you feel it's going to put you into trouble, just leave it. There are times when, as a human being, especially as a woman, you may actually want to feel somebody's hand around you. That is natural. But if you are not married, be careful. Be very careful how you go about these things, and don't put it in your mind that it's my love language. I heard somebody saying that, well, my love language is touch, so no, I allow my guy to no, it's not. If you are not married, you have to be careful. It can land you in serious trouble. Serious trouble. So the physical touch is also a way of expressing love. Um, um, uh, because we are not only talking to married people, we're also talking to those who are not married also. So I have to say this one and that one too. So I've explained how touching should be part of your life if you are married. It should be something that is frequent. That will spice up the relationship. That will spice up the relationship. And then also closeness, closeness. getting close to each other in marriage. This one too is in marriage. Because if you are not married, then your head and his head, you are close like that, and your forehead is touching her forehead, and you are conversing. I mean, that one is that you see that one you may build a platform. The next time you will see that you go further. Tell people that when you are not able to control yourself, let's say you are in courtship, and then you start touching each other, unless unless you apply very stringent measures, radical measures, you will see that anytime you meet, it's going to be worse. You are going to be sliding. You are going to slip and slip and slip, and it's a downward motion. So you are swallowed up. Then what you think, you deceive yourself thinking that you will never hit the big thing. You will never have sex. You will see that you will land in that. So better not start. Just don't start. So these are all ways that we can communicate love. But the biblical perspective of communicating love, that one should be our yardstick as believers. That one should be our foundation. That one should be our the lenses through which we evaluate. You know, so we ask yourself certain questions. Um, how do you offer comfort? How do you show respect to your partner? How do you communicate respect? Bible even says, pray for one another. Prayer is also a form of love investment. It's where your treasure is, that's where your heart also is. Or where your heart is, that's where your treasure also is. So if you love somebody, you invest prayer into the person's life. That's also an expression of love. Prayer. Okay. Then the Bible talks about forgiving one another. So how often and how often and how easily do you forgive? Do you forgive one another or forgive each other? Okay. Then the Bible also goes on to talk about do not judge one another. So refraining from judging is also a way you express love. When you don't judge, you don't conclude unfairly, you don't criticize unfairly, you measure your words. If you love somebody, you mind how you speak to the person. You wouldn't want to hurt the person's personality, hurt the person's feelings. You wouldn't want to hurt the person's ego. At the same time, you will speak the truth in love. Bible talks about speaking the truth in love. One way that you show love is when you speak the truth to the person, when you are honest and transparent with the person, let the person know what the person did that you did not like. Is a way of expression of love. But people may not see that one as a way of expression of love, because it's like the person's ego can be hurt. But your motive was not to break his or her ego. Your motive was to communicate truth. And you must speak the truth in love. There's a way you can express yourself in love. Tell somebody he was wrong, but in a loving way. It doesn't have to be in a harsh tone. It doesn't have to come across as harsh. That's not the way. You can literally, in fact, you can even communicate rebuke, not in a harsh tone. And people sometimes think that when you rebuke your friend, you must by all means be harsh on the person. That's what will show that you have rebuked the person. No, you can correct a person without being harsh. See, especially your partner. Your partner. You don't have to be harsh on the person. There are certain words that are bitter. You don't have to insult the person's intelligence. You don't have to look down on the person's intelligence, the person's personality, tag the person's personality, tag it wrongly. You don't have to do that. Okay. These are all ways we communicate love. And all this put together, the spiritual form of communicating love to a person is to make sure that you play your role as the Bible has said. If you're a husband, your way of loving your wife is to nourish and cherish, cover her with love. If you're a wife, your way of showing love to your husband is to submit and show him respect. Okay, so we'll end here for today, and then we'll take questions if there are any.
I've enjoyed myself. I've had a great time. God bless you so much, Daddy. Yeah, we have quite a number of questions here, quite a number of them. So I'm going to start with this one. Okay, so can a lady accept your proposal based on the plenty love you've been showing her? Can a lady accept your proposal based on the plenty love you've been showing her? So that's the first question.
So is it like, okay, is it wrong for a lady to accept a proposal based on you've been showing her? Okay, now it depends on what you are calling plenty love. Maybe is it the words the person speaks, or you see that the person is showing love in the real sense of the word? Okay, now when it's about marriage, you don't just accept the proposal because you see that the person loves you. That is one aspect. Another aspect too is whether you also love the person. Okay. Then also another aspect is, whether the person is a believer, God fearing, and or somebody can be very nice, expressing love and all that, but the person may not be God fearing. There are people who know how to treat ladies, for instance. He knows how to treat a lady. Okay, so he knows the right words. He knows what to let you be at peace as a woman. But the person's heart has not, the person has not uh, committed himself to a relationship with Christ. It's just a matter of time. Anything can happen. So just make sure the person's heart is with Christ. And then when these other things are in place, then it's safe.
Okay, let's please study. So I believe the question is answered. So to the next question, she says, is love really possible without the balance, words and action? Action matches words, vice versa. Wouldn't it be problematic if there's only actions without knowing what partner is truly feeling? I don't really get the question, but let me take it again. Is love really possible without the balance, words and action? Action matches words, vice versa. Wouldn't it be problematic if there's only actions without knowing what the partner is truly feeling?
I think
Okay. Yeah, I think I understand the question. So it's a balance. But if you weigh the two sides, actions and words, which one communicates love better? It's actions. For God so loved the world that he gave. It was an action. He did something. But somebody can just be expressing love with words. I love you, I love you. You are the only person I'm thinking. In fact, I was watching okay, it was a comedy, but the guy was with another lady. Then his girlfriend or partner called, and then the way he was talking to the girl, you are the only woman I've ever known. I love you. You are the only person. There's no challenger. There's nobody. This. I can't live without you. Meanwhile, he was, with another woman. So you see that it's not enough to just say I love you. I love you. It's good, but it's not enough. Actions are better. The actions, they are better expressions of love than the words.
Okay. Thank you, Daddy. Actions are better expressions of love than words. The next question says, how would we know a partner's action is not just by pity? if they do not verbally express? How
But
would we
pity.
know? Yeah, a partner sexual not just like pity if they do not verbally express.
That the person is doing that because the person is showing pity on you or
Yes.
something.
I
So
think it's,
what the question is, what are you going through that you need pity or you need somebody to show pity on you?
Yeah.
That's the question. So is the person doing all these things out of a genuine heart, maybe to help you or to help you become a better person? Or so I think that this question and the previous one, they are almost similar. Like maybe you want a person to express the love, that or if the person does not express love, or okay, the person expresses love, but the person is also not doing anything to show that he loves you. Which one is better? Yes.
I think it was a continuation of the first question. So
Yeah.
probably we should have had the two of them together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think what she's really trying to understand is, there are also some young men that can show pity to a young lady.
Yeah.
Try to help her out, and therefore they are always maybe lavishing on her or buying things out of an empathy per se. So, so that is when the question comes to be, okay, if there is no verbal expression and the person is always showering off gifts and things, that should it be misinterpreted as love? If there is, yeah.
Okay. I think then Daddy already answered that since it's a matter of balance. Yeah. So to the last question here, before I ask my personal question, she says, what are some advices to someone who grew up in a family where expressing self is considered as a weakness? Therefore, it's extremely difficult for that person to express in general.
Yeah. So you will see that such a person, for instance, if you don't take care, you may think the person does not love you. But that's why I talked about the cultural perspective and all that. You see, but the thing is, there are certain things that we can learn. Maybe how you have been socialized, you have been brought up to think that expressing yourself is a sign of weakness, especially if you are a man, that you don't need to express emotions, and it's actually a weakness not to be in touch with your emotions. It's a form of emotional weakness not to be in touch with your emotions, because there are times when you express yourself even as a man. There are some people who say that, well, a man should not cry, but you realize that there are times when men can cry. Even sometimes things as trivial as football matches can make men cry. Maybe losing something, a competition or something, which means that everybody is emotional. So if, let's say, you grew up in a family where expressing yourself is considered as weakness, you must know, number one, that it's not true. It's not true that you are weak when you express yourself. You are actually more mature if you are in touch with your emotion. The only thing is to know the boundaries. When there's a point where um, you can go overboard, and then even the expression of emotions can be superfluous. Much of it will not be needed, but there's a point that is healthy. That balance should be there. Okay, then you can learn, first of all, let your partner know that this is how you have been socialized, and you would really love to learn to do this, but this is how you have been programmed. And then with the help of God, you are trying to deprogram your mind so that it can affect how you release, how, because you will need to be flexible, in any form of relationship. You need to be flexible. Even if you are a military man, and military men, we all know their training. They are trained, drained of certain emotions. Yeah, if you're a soldier, you have to be hard and all that. But you see military men who are also soft when they are in a relationship. There's a kind of vulnerability that you must be able to endure, in order to make the relationship good and to make it strong. You have to endure some kind of vulnerability. You have to be vulnerable to a certain extent, because when you open up, when you strip, you are letting the person see what is inside, and that's healthy for any relationship. Okay, so let's say that you are married and then you have been trained not to express yourself. Okay, so how does your partner know your deepest, issues, the things that worry you, the things that bother you, the things that make you maybe happy? How does your partner get to know? You must express, let the person know. So number one, know that it's not true. Number two, alert your partner. And number three, the two of you can help each other work on it with the help of God. You can come to a point where you are balanced, where you know that there's a way you express your emotions, which does not mean that you are weak.
All right. Thank you, Daddy. Thank you so much. I believe the question is answered because, yeah. So I'm going to ask a personal question. Actually, I have just one question. So the question is with regards to the love languages. This one says mine is act of service, mine is this touch and all that. Who needs to compromise, the giver or the receiver? How do we?
Okay, who needs to compromise? As in,
Yes, like maybe in a marriage. Let's just say maybe in a marriage, and then the lady is saying my love language is physical touch, and the man's love language is act of service. And so he thinks doing things for you should satisfy you, but because that is not your love language, it's like you're not being satisfied. So from both ends, who is supposed to compromise? Should it be the lady just say, okay, fine, since he's just doing what he wants to do, it means he loves me, though you don't feel it. So I want to know, should the who is supposed to compromise? Is it the giver or the receiver, or they should meet at a point where
okay,
they know? Yeah.
okay. So I was saying something like we should not resign ourselves to one particular love language, because growing up you will see the expression of all these so-called love languages in your life. There was a point where the best way your mother could express her love was to be cuddling you, singing songs to you when you were a baby, feeding you. Now, as you grow, you will see that your mother will not come and cuddle you and sing songs to you, or maybe sing you to sleep or something like that. Okay, but then now she's doing other things, that show her love. Maybe she's now taking care of your needs, your actual needs. Okay, yeah, maybe your father to the same thing. So you see that now they move from just touch and maybe singing and words to meeting practically. It does not mean that they will not, now they will stop saying nice things, but now you see that it has progressed. If you like, it has been enlarged to cover another aspect. A time will come where you will see all these other aspects of expression of love. So nature, God himself has designed us not to grow up with just one way of expressing love. And we have all been designed to receive love through all these means. So we should not just present ourselves. There may be one that is dominant, but of course, we should not just say that apart from me, unless I see this, it's not love. And you will see for a long-term relationship like marriage, you will see that the issues of life will demand that you appreciate all these forms of expression of love, because you will see that words are not enough. You will see that touch is not enough. You will see that you will see that there has to be a totality, a combination of all these for the love to be expressed. So both parties must know that, number one, there's nobody uh, who just sees love through just one love language. And number two, we might be able to receive love, no matter how the form that is expressed. We're able to know that this is love, and then receive, and also give love appropriately, in whatever capacity, whatever form that we can give, and then receive also.
Yes, please. Thank you, Daddy. That was to the point. So, Papa, please. You're welcome. So you've been here with us, but yeah, you're welcome again. So I just want to know if you have any contributions or any questions.
I think there is more question on the page you may want to ask.
Please come again.
There are 2 more questions on the page you may want to ask.
Okay. Okay, sure. So there are 2 questions here, exactly. So can love be overshadowed? Because I have seen people who seem to suffocate to genuine love. In that situation, is it possible to withdraw? So can you be doing too much love?
Yeah. There are some people who have issues with receiving love, and sometimes as you shower more and more love acts and love words, they tend to, sometimes they will even tend to reject it, because that's not how they have been socialized. There are some people, because of extreme verbal abuse, when you tell them I love you, they don't believe it.
Yeah.
They can't reconcile with it. So you may need to measure, give the love in bits, just so that they will not be choked. You don't choke them with love, but then give them the measure they can handle. There are people that it will take time for them to even accept a compliment. There are some people, when you pass a compliment, you will see naturally they will also release uh, something that will counteract or cancel the compliment. It counts as a, in spite of themselves. Let's say you talk about, maybe, oh, this dress is nice. They will say, oh, this one, oh, it's some cheap dress, or this one, I mean, something as if to balance what you are saying, but really it's just that they can't accept a compliment, and it's not their fault. It's how they have been socialized. So if you detect that, the way you help the person is you keep on doing it, but you measure. A time will come where the person will get used to it. That's why in the Bible, God always tells us, "You are my children. You are my children. You are my righteousness. I love you." Because where we are coming from, the devil messed up our thinking. So for you to think that God really loves me, it's difficult to soak in. So you can give the love in measures, so as not to choke the person.
Right. Thank you, Daddy. So you can give the love in measures so you don't choke the person. Sorry. So the second question says, what causes people to ask for space in a relationship? Many times people might come up with an idea that I need space. What truly is the understanding behind such suggestions? What space do you need?
Okay. Now, when people say they need space in a relationship, chances are that they think they made a mistake. I like, yeah, they think they made a mistake, first of, because you see, if let's say there's an issue, let's say something has happened, and the two of you should go separate ways. That one is not one person that will request. I mean, you will know. Okay, but if let's say one person says, "Give me space," it means the person is still shaky in the decision that he or she made to accept or to propose, and the person wants to reflect more on that and see whether, yeah, he can make some amendment. Other than that, if there's an issue in a relationship, we solve. We don't ask for space, we solve. Then also somebody can ask for space when the person notices something wrong with him personally or her personally, that maybe he or she thinks that he needs to fix it before he can continue the relationship. But even that one, you need the help of the other person, to be able to fix it. So people ask for space most of the time because they realize they made a mistake. They want to be sure.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Daddy. So, Papa, I think the questions are done now, and Daddy has done justice to them. So, if you have anything to add up.
All right. I think we are all being getting a couple of understandings. Thank you, Winnie, also for being here. And thank you, Daddy.
Okay.
There is a lot you have shared. I don't know how some of them work in this generation, but we are praying. The outer course and the intercourse. The intercourse really is easily understood by the outer course.
Yeah.
That one. All right. Well, so I think I mean the what I really wanted to bring to the table was the questions I asked we need to get all of us to understand. You know, I've seen a couple of situations. I was watching this. I think it was Steve Harvey, and a young man and a young lady. The young man was saying he was really struggling with the lady for a long time until he had to understand how the lady understands love. Because the way he was brought up and the way he saw love, it is expressed in a certain way. And then he would have preferred, so he was doing things according to how he thought love is. But after some time, he realized that what he was doing was not working. So he had to now find out how the lady sees, and then he began to see that the lady sees love or is much understands love when you present her with surprises and gifts.
Mhm.
Yeah, so so that when he found out that way, then it was easy for him to always keep the woman and make the woman joyful. So, Daddy, I totally agree with them. I mean, I don't have to agree for it to be solid, but I totally accept everything you are saying. We need to understand how to express, you know, the communities we come from, and also especially with the verbal understanding that you are communicating. Some of us from the African cultures and some of the cultures that even if a man has to kiss his wife, you have to turn off the moon and the sun, you know, because everything is done only in the bedroom. But now it is becoming more easy, and also the young generation are also overdoing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's making the outer course and the smooching becoming a regular thing now. So thank you, Daddy. I appreciate the time. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much, Papa. I mean, I think you already wrapped everything up. You summarized everything and added to it. So since there are no more questions or comments or anything, I think this is where we end tonight's session of Relationship Thursday. We'll meet you again on Monday, God willing, for Ministry Monday, and Thursday again for Relationship Thursday. Until then, do have a wonderful evening, and thanks for staying with us. God bless you.
God bless you too.